family and children. This is John, and I have my lovely assistant,
Abby.
Yes, so this week we're really excited. Hey, we grab that bag real quick?
Yep.
We're doing a fun week for you guys, and the theme is that God is everywhere. So one thing before we even get started is that this bag right here, you can come to the church and pick up, or if you need it delivered to you, let me know, and we'll try to figure something out there. But each kid is going to have a bag for them full of all kinds of stuff. There's a water bottle in here. There's a football thing, a frisbee. There's bubbles, because bubbles are awesome, and all kinds of other stuff. So thank you, my assistant. Can you please put that back? So that's the first thing I want to tell you about. The second thing is that there are some balloons in each of those bags, and they're actually meant to be used for a game that Abby and I are going to demonstrate for you now. That was the balloon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so we're going to show you a game that you can do with these balloons. Now, we didn't provide the cups for you, but you can find these cups anywhere, like any dollar store that has ever existed, okay? So I am going to try to knock these over as fast as I can. These are called Minute to Win It games. We're going to do another one here in a minute where we put a cookie on our face and like let it slide down. And so we didn't put cookies in there because I know certain kids have allergies to certain things, and I didn't want to hurt you. So here is how this game works, okay? I tell you what, we won't even try to race, but I'll do these three, and Abby's going to do those three.
At the same time?
Yes, at the same time. So what we're going to do is you're going to time yourself, or you can compete, or you can do whatever you want here. You're going to blow up your balloon and try to knock over each cup as fast as you can, okay? Are you ready? No! Man, you just let yours go.
You guys just flew away.
Anyway, so that's how you do it. Man, those cups are a lot heavier than I thought.
Yeah.
So if you get the styrofoam cups, it's a lot easier to do. So that's game number one as Abby, and look, Abby is cleaning up her mess and my mess. Don't let your parents do all the cleaning up. You have to help, okay? Hello, First Baptist children and families of Rutherfordton. John Miller here, and my beautiful daughter, Abby. This is our devotional for day one. We're doing this 3-day series called God is Everywhere. And so what we're going to do, this is similar to what we've been doing with the drawings. We even use some sign language to learn words to help us remember our lessons. So we are going to be going through this book that I have is the Big Book of Bible Stories. This is kind of what we're going to be doing for the rest of the year and into next year. So we're still doing the drawings and things that are interactive. And so we are just going to start from the beginning. And so the first story today is called God's Never Ending Story. If you've seen the movie The Never Ending Story, then that's just me being me having an ADHD moment. And just, yeah. So if you haven't seen it, just don't. It's kind of weird. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about God's never-ending story. So I'm going to have my assistant Abby show you the picture, and you can kind of hold it out there in front of them. There you go. And I do want to remind you, these are very unprofessional drawings because I did them, okay? So here's your first picture. This is a picture of the world. I tried to mimic it the best I could. Look, just draw a funky shape here connected to another funky shape in a circle, and you write the word Savior, okay? Savior. And so here is what this picture is about, okay? God's never-ending story began with God creating the world and the first people, Adam and Eve. Even though Adam and Eve sinned, God loved them and promised to send a Savior who would take the punishment for people's sins. God gave a special country to a man named Abraham and called him to be the beginning of his people, the people through whom God would send the Savior. So again, guys, we're summarizing a lot of stuff in our Bible stories, but from the very beginning, even when sin entered the world, Jesus would come along and would basically show us what God ultimately was supposed to look like and supposed to act like. And it's just amazing to see how that came about. Our next picture is this. All right, so hold that a little closer for him. So the first picture here, you're going to basically draw like a little circle and like two M's, M&M's. It's the king of M&M's. And then you're going to draw a scroll. Basically, you just do two S's and add the connecting parts. So you just do an S here, line, line, and then add the squares, and you can add this little squiggly. And then here, you just write the word promised and Savior, and you intersect the words at the I, okay? So if you'll hold that, dear. Here's what this picture is about, okay? It says, after God's people lived in Egypt for 400 years, God sent Moses to bring them back to their special land. Because God loved them, he sent judges and kings to lead them, telling them to obey God and about the future that God had in store for them. So that's that picture, okay? So picture number 3 is this one. And so this one is, you can get down here if you need to. So this picture is a cross, and it's got, again, promised Savior, and it's got Jesus at the bottom, okay? So as Abby holds that there, again, you can pause these videos and stop it and, draw these, but make sure you draw them and send them to me so that we can see how they turned out, okay? After many years, what happened? Well, Jesus, the ultimate picture of who God is, came to earth. A lot of people had this idea of who Jesus was supposed to be, that he was going to be this mighty king, this powerful ruler, and that he was going to come in on a horse with a sword and just take out all the bad guys. And he did the opposite. Jesus came, and he died. He gave his life for others. Instead of starting wars, he said, hey, lay your sword down. Instead of being a rich king, he was a poor person in society and didn't look like all the religious leaders. And so he really came and showed us what the promised Savior really looked like. Next. This one is the easiest one, and it's still an ugly drawing by me. But you just draw a happy face, or that could be an M&M face. What do you think it is, Abby? She's being nice. And you just write, good news! And you can't just say good news. You got to say, good news! Okay? Here's why. It says, all the good news of the gospel that the New Testament tells us about, again, was wrapped up in Jesus and his life. It's not just that he died and rose again, but it's how he lived. It's how he treated other people. It's very important to remember. Next. The next one is kind of like an envelope. Now, I use the paper here to help me draw semi-straight lines, and I still messed it up a little bit, but you just draw an envelope here, square, and you put God in the corner because he's writing it to God's family, and there's a stamp I didn't decorate. So here's what this one says. The rest of the New Testament books, they tell us about what happened after that. So how the disciples and the people who were disciples and followers of Jesus, how they began to live out a life that looked like Jesus. Why? Because Jesus is God. He is the ultimate picture of who God is. And so the letters that they were writing and the lives that they were living themselves were letters, were going out to all over the world so that people could learn about God's love. Next picture is a bunch of strange stuff, okay? And so you've got, this guy's got an idea. What? And it looks kind of like a stop sign, but whatever. This is an ear. This is a hand. This is a heart. This is an eyeball. So again, you can pause. I mean, these aren't very hard to draw, even though I didn't draw them well. Okay. For instance, so one example is that Paul wrote several letters in the New Testament, and he told the people to love each other. Why? Why would he tell the people to love each other? Well, because again, Jesus is the ultimate representation of God, and Jesus was all about love. And in 1 John, it says that God is love. So if you want to know what Jesus looks like, what God looks like, God is love. And so this is what a lot of the letters talked about. The next picture here is just a bigger crown. You're doing two big M&Ms, like the giant size M&Ms, like the family size. And then you're just drawing lines in between them, and you're writing Jesus. Now, why would we say that? You see in the Old Testament, People wanted a king. They didn't want God to be their king. But then in the New Testament, what we see is that Jesus ultimately was going to be the king. But remember, he didn't ride in on this big horse with a sword, tearing people down. He didn't come to rule over people. He came to be served. He said, if you want to follow me, you have to be willing to serve others, because the Son of Man didn't come to be served, but to serve. And then Paul says, hey, you should look to others' needs above your own. So again, Jesus was crowned king, but not the way people wanted him to be. And then our last one here is actually a picture. If you're not at First Baptist Rutherford in our children's ministry, don't feel left out. But these are all the names of the kids and children. So from like our little bitty ones to our rising sixth graders, okay? So this picture shows that the story didn't end there. You see, now the story of Jesus applies to us, and we can follow him and mimic his love and copy his love. So that's a really like 8-9 minute short summary of God's never-ending story. It started with God, it ends with God, and ultimately we look to Jesus. And I know I've said that a lot, but kids, make sure that if you want to know what God looks like and how to act and how to think about the world, look at Jesus, because he is the ultimate representation of who God is. Okay, so thank you to my lovely assistant Abby and her Christmas in July pants. Day 1 in the books. I hope that you'll come back tomorrow for day 2 of our lessons.